Gentlemen, cartoons are commodities that attract loyal viewing behavior amongst varied demographic segments, resulting in substantial revenue potential and
Suffering succotash! What in Sam Hill are you talking about? You're forgetting the most important thing. Everybody loves cartoons.
Man, I'm pretty.
Launching in 1992 with masterful repackaging of cartoon classics that only the mad scientist of cable TV and the cartoon geeks he promoted from TNT can manage. I don't have to tell you how much Cartoon Network means to me, you, or any other mofo in the cosmos. I don't have to tell you that the content farming the suits do in the name of streaming these days is a travesty. I've even made fan-made idents and interstitials for the iconic City era, or rather, animatics for them. And with the entertainment industry imploding from their pop culture pillars collapsing from too much schlock and a war on criticism, Cartoon Network, after a quarter century of creative freedom and iconic programming, is more than likely going to be a casualty of Warner's death by 1,000 mergers. And that really fucking sucks, because I grew up a Cartoon Network kid. I wanted to walk the halls of its Burbank studio, and goddammit, I know for a fact I could program the Cartoon Network a hell of a lot better than the guy who thinks it's a good idea to air nothing but Teen Titans Go all week long for the 11th bajillionth time! So I figured, what would my ideal era of Cartoon Network be? When the 2010s placeover reboots have run their course, Warner's fully settled into Netflix, Sony splits the global network side with Skydance because... where else would Ted Sarandos toss the networks that are antithetical to his plan to destroy Hollywood from within? And network head Michael Lowleen hands me the keys as he steps down from his post. What would my take on the world's first Cartoon Network be? Well, let's start it off with... logos.
Gentlemen, behold the latest logo for the world's first Cartoon Network.
Though it is a cheap knockoff of a much better concept, this logo holds true to its design philosophies, like the long extending T's in each word to symbolize its cartoonish nature, and the color scheme serving to reference specific characters in its extensive library. The N and the full logo and its travel-sized counterpart each have a unique feature specific to them. The uppercase N for network has these sharp edges to emphasize its reputation as the cutting edge of creativity that has sadly dulled of late for obvious reasons. Likewise, the lowercase n in its bug form I copied and turned 90 degrees to create the C that we see stretch out through the T in cartoon in its full logo. It all feeds into each other, as does a specialized failsafe for just in case.
Trust me on this.
Yes, I too actively dread what Skydance could do with both Paramount and Warner in the ice chest. But consider this, the history between the two in terms of creator-driven animation, dating back to Fred Seibert's familiar reface of Nick back in the mid-'80s. Cartoon Network as a sibling channel to Nick can be done, and done surprisingly well. Case in point, my chaotic approach to Nick's logo in contrast to Cartoon Network's sleek and orderly logo. And as you can see, it's just as versatile as you wanted a Nickelodeon logo, whilst also honoring its storied roots, hence the silver ball dotting the I. Even let Nick's cousins in on the fun. But when we look to the man who actually got the rose back at the start of December of last year, we find that he's doing this not to compete with Hollywood, which in his eyes is on the way out, but instead... socials. So, funny thing about kids today. They don't really watch cartoons anymore, they prefer playing video games and watching other people play video games, among other brain-stimulating activities. So how do we rectify this? Well, for starters, if you can't beat 'em, Squeeze the channel feed onto a tiny window in a CPU on CPU gambling arena. But that's only part of our strategy. So what else can we do? Well, with the streaming war claiming multiple casualties and the remaining legacy studios bundling their cable model back to life again, the free ad-supported streaming television model is booming in popularity with cord-cutting audiences and folks tired of paying for tons of premium streaming outlets that are giving them fewer programs for more money. While Warner Brothers Discovery has been hesitant to expand their offerings on this field, internet old-timer Jeff Harris has crafted on his Thought-Nami blogspot page a concept for an entire fleet of fast channels for the Cartoon Network, as well as a refresh of the network itself. I'll put a link to that in the description below.
3 channels. That's all the Cartoon Network brand needs to expand into fast media. 3 channels. Why 3? Because with nearly 30 years of original programming, you can't put it all in one place. That's why you don't see much of the library on television nowadays. Cartoon Network itself has a limited lineup, and they're hyper-focused on the younger demographics, and therefore push more modern shows. They tried to put some of the older CN library on Boomerang, but it was buried in late-night slots. Plus, most major TV markets don't have Boomerang on their cable lineup. You'd think they'd try to get wider distribution deals, but I think Time Warner just gave up more than a decade ago. And yeah, I put the blame on Time Warner. Checkered Past was snuffed out because its scope was far too limited by the half of the channel it was airing on. No kids fighting adults. None of Boomerang's late-night regulars. No offending our misandrist overlords whose fanfic pipeline led to Twilight, 50 Shades, and eventually Handmaid's Tale. This isn't good.
Long story short, Jeff proposes 3 fast channels. Cartoon Network Classics, which houses the shows that built the Cartoon Network brand, Tooncast for the latter half of Cartoon Network's portfolio of characters, and Power Zone for the serious and not-so-serious action-adventure shows scattered throughout. Tower Prep and Level Up included. Viz and Crunchyroll could work together with DeMarco to program Toonami's fast channel. But that's going a bit far, don't you think?
Indubitably!
But what about the OG? How do we preserve the world's first Cartoon Network for future generations in wake of ill-timed strikes, the streaming wars Highlander ending, and an entire decade of critical failure and audience antagonism?
So you know how AI is exploding right now. Maybe we can look for the best tools and use them to lower budgets.
Just listen to yourself right now. That is an insult to life itself. These guys have been doing this for 35 years at this point, and you want to suggest AI? Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? Debt management. Imagine, if you will, you are David Ellison, and you've sat through a fair and balanced trial with all of the evidence and all of the arguments broken down and analyzed when the judge asks, free of bias,
is this about CNN? Are you doing this to keep control of the news long enough to steal the midterms?
Of course we are!
I find this case unconstitutional and evidence of corruption, which is grounds for impeachment.
But he's a threat to our democracy!
Goodbye!
And just like that, you've won. You've secured one of the most prolific film and TV libraries in Hollywood. And the Writers Union hates your guts for it. Not to mention the state of California is one of the most expensive states to exist in at a time when you're drowning in debt. How do you climb out, you ask? Well, for starters, double down on licensing to MeTV and Tubi, shut down the premium streaming services in favor of extorting Netflix for an annual license fee of at least 10 figures, phase out failing cable networks in favor of new Pluto TV incarnations, and since the state of California values vengeance above all else, sell off every shred of real estate you have in the state, studios and all. I know the state has sentimental value to you. Hell, you even put the studios you built there in your logo, for corn's sake. But one need only look at the Baywatch situation and all the legal brouhaha that has ensued to understand that this state is beyond saving.
It will likely hurt in the short term. I'm sure that there's going to be tax penalties for doing so. But after those are dealt with, you're not getting my tax revenue anymore. And that is something that I think a lot of people are doing outside the corporate world. You've got people that are leaving states that are taxing them too heavily. They are moving to red states that are more business and personal finance friendly. And you vote with your feet, and your wallet.
It's served us well, but it's time to leave it in the past with any dignity
dignity that it might still have.
Stations. Now that California's devolved into a kleptocratic shithole that's basically Detroit with palm trees, where do you film now? I believe the question is, where don't you film? Once upon a time, there was a network that promised TV made fresh daily, and it was the largest launch of any cable network at the time until the NFL and MLB broke it because sports. They filmed all their live programming from a New York apartment they invited people to every friggin' day, and it was awesome until it was gradually phased out and turned into a serialized drama network. And honestly, YouTube goes above and beyond that promise, so how do we harness such power? Ladies and gentlemen, and all other kin in between, I present to you now the station system. Harkening back to the olden days of broadcast TV till Uncle Teddy made cable cool. Rest easy, Captain. Stations are basically certified YouTube live streamers that get special software to customize their own Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network lineups to stream from their YouTube page, whether they're live or not. Oh, sorry, Jeff just posted on Thought-Nami again. Huh, that logo looks pretty bitchin'. Stations can be streamed anywhere across YouTube with Nick.com locking in the one closest to the zip code of the corresponding user. But while you can get Nick certified in your usual streaming setup, corporate organizations prefer if their employees reported to a studio location that they own. And while they wait out the establishment of full in-house facilities in Tennessee, I know the perfect crew to put together smaller spaces. A lot of people in the USA really want O3, this Australian study cafe chain, to come to the States, and honestly we are more than happy to arrange that. Each one has a specific theme to them, like one of them is based on the works of Studio Ghibli, another's based on the climactic Infinity Castle arc of Demon Slayer. Why stop that tradition now? We could set up shop near an independent mall with built-in game shows for kids and families. A SpongeBob-themed joint at Steve Hillenburg's birthplace of Lawton, Oklahoma. Don't worry, you can plop a bigger splash of the sponge at
Universal Studios. Cha-ching.
But for those real old-timers out there, can you name a better spot to kick off this beautiful friendship than an actual pinwheel house in Columbus, Ohio?
Why not? After all, that's how it all started.
Thank you. Thank you very much.